Hey Greg, this is going to be something that I've been doing for everybody whenever they can actually get a good amount of videos to me. We're going to be going through your squat, your press, and your bench, so basically everything that you did um, and got me videos for. The primary thing that we need to talk about for your squat, we're going to go in order, is going to be your rack position, and then your bracing pattern, and then what you're doing with your abs. So the first thing is going to be your rack position. As of right now, you were kind of swooping under the bar while being really loose about it. So we'll speed this up so we can get to it. Yeah, we're perfect right there. Alrighty, I'm going to slide the speed down just a bit so we can see what's going on. Little leg kick. Okay, so right now there's no tension going through your arms. There's no compression on your back. You don't actually have any weight on your system right now, and you've pushed past the bar. The bar is actually about maybe like an inch, inch and a half too low on your back as well for right now. And then now you're trying to get tight and push up into it with the mass of your posterior delts. I kind of want it in that gap in between it. So basically right now the bar should be in this line right here. I'll zoom in just a little bit for you. Okay, so the bar is sitting rather low. That top of the shirt right there, that crease basically is where I would actually want it. And then you're just carrying all of the weight just kind of stacked on that shelf. For this zoom. What this is leading to is a really deflated chest position, and then it's causing you to reach for depth with your stomach. So if we look basically right now, anytime you brace, your chest angle is not really going to change. You're just going to basically be breathing into your belly. Okay, now we're at the bottom. I don't know if you saw it, but essentially all of that curvature that's happening, you should just be leaning over as one rigid segment. Okay, so if we look at our bottom position right now, we'll stick through. This is the correct bottom position. This is exactly where I want you. And when you drive up, you're keeping your spine in one rigid segment, which is great. On the way down, you're kind of reaching forward with your belly while keeping everything a little bit too curved. And we're driving back up. This will be solved by taking your proper rack position, and you'll just feel a lot more tight in general. I'm assuming this weight feels really heavy on your back more than heavy with your legs, because your ascent's always really fast. It's just the descent, the eccentric portion, and then the actual rack. So we're going to hop over to Google right here. This is the proper low bar back position. So essentially, we have his mass of his posterior delt right there. We have his trap. It's just going to sit right in that gap, right in between that. Right now, you're sitting with the bar basically about right there. That's where you're sitting at right now. What I want you to do for your racks from now on is to start it by touching the top of your shirt. I don't know if you remember, we went over this in Colorado. But I need you to start by touching the top of your shirt and then pushing down and into it. So the bar slides down into this position, and then you can stay tight there. The next thing we'll go over is going to be the bracing pattern that you have. Okay, it happens on rep 2. So this is the top of rep 1. And then right here. Okay, so you've already broken at the hips and the knees before you've actually finished taking your breath. So breaking at the hips and the knees, you just finished taking your breath. We'll slow it down a little bit more so you can catch that more in real time. Pay attention to your mouth. Mouth still open. You're breaking at the hips and the knees at the same time that that brace is happening. What I want to happen, and you do this actually for a lot of them, I think this may just be a little bit of a fatigue thing. I need you to completely brace, completely tuck your abs in before you start moving. What you're doing right now is just going to make the bar feel a lot heavier. And we're coming down to our bottom position. See our knees kind of caved in a little bit there. Don't know if you caught that. And we're driving back up. Avoid the temptation to raise your head up, kind of stay in your hips. What that's causing is causing you to kind of fold back into your chest. But otherwise, everything's going really well with the squat. I'm a lot happier with these guys than I was before. We're going to go over the press now. Your biggest problem with your press is that you're holding the bar really, really far away from you. So we're going to go over your fastest single, which is your 135 bottom position, and then we're going to go over your 155 failure rep. We won't go over the one that you had the really big grinder on because that had a mess of things that I don't want you worrying about for right now. Okay. So rack position. First thing to note is the horizontal distance between your face and the bar right now. As of right now, that's maybe 2.5 inches. That's farther than I'd like, but it's going to be a lot better than this one on the left that we'll see here in a second. What I want you to pay attention to, so I'm going to put my little bar tracker path on, is where exactly the bar drops down to at the bottom. Okay, so we've stopped moving here, put our bar tracker on. Okay, so you see that little button right there? You're dropping down towards the bottom. Now that bottom position, I'm going to slow this down pretty dramatically, is right on your clavicles. Okay, so as of right now, it's hard to tell because the plate's in the way and everything, but the bar is sitting right on top of your clavicles, exactly where we want it. You brought it down and back towards you, and then you throw it back and up. Okay, so same thing as the bench, throwing it back and up. Everything's going well. Your wrists are in a little bit more of an extension than I'd like. The reason that you're doing this is to make the bar closer to your midfoot. You're keeping your elbows really far out in front of you, so you want to bring it back to midfoot. Naturally, you're going to bend your wrists a little bit more. That'll solve itself over time, so don't worry too much about it. Just think straight wrist, keeping the bar on the heels of your hands. So that was the correct one. Really like that one a lot. Okay, now we'll look at our 155. Okay, so we're just about to take this out of the rack here. So let me try and find the exact frame that we were doing it on this one. Okay, so right here, this is when you start to take it out. Note that horizontal distance versus this horizontal distance right here. You have about like an extra 2.5, 3 inches here, as opposed to here. We'll start playing this. You kind of leave the bar out in front of you for a little bit too long. I can still see you. We're going to start tracking our bar path now. Now look exactly where it drops down to here. You drop it down and then you throw it up straight. This is the best thing I can show for you here. Is that we just need to compare these two bar paths right now. Okay, so we're going to play both of them at the same time for you. So we're up, coming down. See, now look at this pattern. You held it out in front of you, you dropped it down straight. This one was out in front of you, but you pulled it back into you. And then now let's look at the ascent. This one we shoot backwards and up towards our head, and this one we just go straight up. Okay, so essentially we just need to avoid the temptation to press out in front of us, make sure we're not looking at the bar, we're keeping our eyes directly straight ahead, and then we're just going to press up and through our head. Let's look at this guy's rack position right here. So essentially what I want for you is to have the bar floating on top of your clavicles. You're going to be pressing basically, what I like to think about is like picking my nose. I like to think if I can brush my nose with the knurling of the bar, that's my goal. Otherwise, I know it's a little bit too far out for my midfoot. Okay, we'll go here. Essentially, if we look at our model here, he has a slight lean in his torso. His head is clearing the way. The bar is directly over midfoot, and it's staying on top of his clavicle. And then he presses up and then through here. Okay, so this is essentially what I want that to look more like. And then we'll go over your bench. Okay, we'll do set one. I really just want to talk about your foot position and then your arch here. Okay, so the feet are getting into the right position. Essentially what I'm looking for is I want the heels to be slightly behind the knees, so basically that vertical line between the edge of your shorts and your heels. This is perfect as of right now. Now, in my recommended setup, really everyone's recommended setup, what we're looking for is for, wrong tool. This tool right here, this point right here, this point right here, I need this to be supported by a big arch. Okay, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but you get the point. What you're doing is you're taking your head out of it by rocking your head back and forth, which is going to make the arch a lot harder because you'll be asking your spine to curve in a lot of different directions. So if we look basically as of right now, our head is just completely off the bench. The reason that people used to do this was because we used to have bench shirts that are like slingshots, and then you actually had to row the bar down into your chest. That was really hard, and then the super heavyweights also had a lot of problems with just how large their backs were. This is where this technique came from, and then they would heave it off by kind of rocking their head back. They could rock their giant power belly backwards. You don't have a power belly or a bench shirt, so it's going to be a little bit disadvantageous. And then we'll check out this at the bottom position right here. Now, if we notice, if we look at this angle right here, our elbows are behind the bar. You're kind of having to reverse curl this in. So essentially what's happening is your wrists are really bent backwards to keep it over your elbow. If we have straight wrists, however, you'll be able to drive backwards a lot more easily because you're just taking out an extra joint. So let's focus on really keeping our wrists a good bit straighter, turning our grip in a little bit more. And we're bouncing. Okay, you'll kind of notice it here too. You're a little times a little bit too jacked for your own good. Watch this foot. So just kind of wobbling. You're not really pressing through it at all. We'll get more towards it on the last rep. And right there. Okay, so essentially you're not pushing any weight through your feet at all. At this point, it's kind of akin to benching on like a yoga ball or some sort of other unstable point. What I need is for all of the weight, all of the force from your quads and from your glutes, from your heels, to be pushing yourself backwards and then into the bar. And that's that leg drive, kind of that kick that we talked about before. During your setup, right here, this is a pretty good example of an arch. I wanted to pick this out right here. And your head is still down. What I need is for your quads to be extending to push you backwards and to pick your chest up. Let's see how this rep goes. Boop. Right there. That was one of your easiest reps because your head was in the correct position, and that was there. Everything's looking good. Strength gains are coming along pretty well. I think if we stick with this for maybe another good amount of months, I think you should be fine. I'm going to pull up your file real quick here. Yeah, so I mean, we were going from kind of really, really sloppy reps at 205 and then 225, all the way down to your pause squat for your 3x3 being at 205 now. So next week I want to do some actual testing. We're going to go on to the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule, and then this really is going to be our heavier day. This is going to be our lighter day, and then we're going to go heavy again here. So this is going to look like heavy squats, heavy benches. This is going to look like pause squats, overhead press, and then we're going to go back to full squat, full bench press here. Outside of that, if you have any questions, let me know.